Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about this challenge that you're going to have. We're looking for you to make a 3-piece set, a sketch for a set to make either a pendant, keychains, or magnets. Here's some things I want you to think about. Playing around with different shapes of these pieces. We're going to be talking about making a set so they look like they belong together and they are the same size. We're going to be talking about 3 different techniques: Sgraffito, Mishima, and designer liner. So here's what I want to point out. These two look, because of the same size and how they're going to do it, look like they belong in a set. This is a different shape. Because all have the theme being flowers and probably overlapping of color theory, you're going to notice that in the end, when it's done, will look like a set. So this is a work in progress, and I love how this is getting started. So what do we need to do in day 1? You need to know what materials you have available. Make sure you have a placemat. Make sure you go ahead and help yourself to these and the rolling pins when you are working with rolling. I like these more than the slab roller for this particular project, because when you are working with the slab roller, it's slightly thicker than these wooden pieces, these wooden, I'm not going to call them dowels, but wooden slabs that will help you just get to the thickness and depth that we need, or width of the clay. All right, so I'm like, did you notice I was rolling it and flipping it and rolling and flipping it? Sometimes I feel like it gives me a better connection. Okay, I'm going to try to make a couple different sets. This set, it's my square set, and you're gonna notice, like, as I work on it, they get warped and manipulated. So in the end, when you do your final challenge, I want these pieces that you're gonna turn into me to be able to look exactly the same. And by doing that, a trick that I have for you is to come up with a template. It doesn't matter if it's a shape or organic, like a blob or a flower, but when you work into your clay, I want you to be able to go in and grab those pieces and make sure you have the same size. So another thing I like to do is when I'm working with some of these pieces, I like to work by going on and off the clay, just so it makes it easier for me to cut out and make sure that I'm not warping these pieces a little bit. Oh, my piece is a little stuck there, and I know my hands are in the screen, but if I do my 1 and then 2 and I just then go ahead and trace around these pieces a little bit more refinedly, getting caught a little, then we can have our set. You are turning in 3 pieces. Ooh, that does not look pretty. Let's go ahead and do some refining right now as we talk about it. You are required to turn in 3 pieces. Now, I know I make mistakes. I know this is a formative. I know I am supposed to be playing around with new techniques that I'm not necessarily used to. So I'm going to just go ahead and give the suggestion of go ahead, make extras. So if you make a mistake, then you are ready to go. When I say extras, I would say go ahead, give yourself like 5 that you can work with. And if you end up with 5 cool magnets or pendants or keychains, then that's awesome. Give them as gifts or however you would like to showcase your art. All right, from there, cut. Now, this clay is considered plastic. That means it's extremely flexible, malleable. We can bend it, twist it, rotate it, and that might not be what our goal is. Our goal is to keep them all the same size and same shape. So what you're going to find out is you're going to maybe want to put these in front of the fan to expedite drying time, and then that will give you some time to kind of clean those off. All right, super simple. By being able to get this out of here, take the time to get your clay chunks out of the way. You can either recycle this clay or use it if you have something that you want to do with it. You absolutely can. But we are really trying not to focus on applique this technique. Okay, so cleanup. I've got some tools for you. These are some really nice pieces and tools where you can go ahead and have, oh, my camera's trying to focus on it, where you can actually work with going into small areas. So you can like clean up stuff, and you'll notice that I can take that and pull that away. I can take my sponge and I can also pull some of that moisture away and clean it up to smooth it out. Another thing, students, like, I like doing that around my edges and kind of clean that. I wanted to point out, even on my squares, I did not necessarily let my edges be super sharp, because when the clay hardens and you add glaze, that can actually be hurtful. So sometimes I even like to round off even shapes like that. If you are thinking, oh, I really do want to make this a pendant or a keychain, in addition to taking your time to clean this up and work into it, if you want to make a hole punch, you're going to find a tool like this in our community supplies. And I'm going to go ahead and pierce it, go all the way through. I pull the clay out, and then I twist it back, and then I have that really nice hole in the middle that I can use for a piercing to make it into that keychain. Otherwise, I would say really think about magnets. Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is if you do any stamping, because that is one of the challenges. This is kind of what, I'm going to grab a different one. If you're going to do any stamping, whether you are doing a real life organic stamp, I'm going to just go ahead and pop that off, and we're going to stamp it from this direction in that direction. I'm going to use my rolling pin. I'm still going to let my supports be on the side. I'm going to kind of go into that and press that in like I'm using natural elements to stamp in there. I'm going to move that off to the side. I'm going to do one more time just to make sure I'm getting that leaf edge in there. And then I'm going to peel those pieces off to see how much it imprinted. I feel like those leaves keep popping up. I might be losing that detail. I'm going to pull, oh, sweet. How sweet it is. It's in there subtly. And I'm going to just let that be. I'm not going to pick those out. They can burn off. But I do feel like if I'm doing that challenge, because I did an additional roll, I'm going to have to do an additional trim here of the material to make sure that we are consistently working with the same size or that part of our challenge. So I hope that helps you think a little bit about how we're working with our pieces. Same thing goes if I were to stamp with this and work in there and let it go from forward to back, left to right, make sure I'm doing that even press or getting those designs throughout it. My project, because of that, I displaced clay, that the size has now gotten larger, and I would go back into there and reinforce the size that based on my needs. Okay, I hope that helps. That's where you should be at the end of day 1.